how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good today. I feel okay.
Good, good. So tell me a little bit about your week. How did everything go?
It was good. I know you told me to do something, I didn't do it.
The homework.
Yeah.
That's okay. Last week when I was kind of explaining it even when I was listening to it, it did seem a little bit overwhelming, especially with all the things that we talked about. So I kind of had it in the back of my mind that maybe we would kind of go over that today and maybe work through some of that together and just kind of pinpointing some of those schemas that you have that are really affecting how you're thinking and then how you're acting and behaving.
Yeah.
So we can kind of do that in a little bit. I just kind of want to talk to you about, how your week's been, and also, talk to you a little bit more about your husband and kind of some of that grief and loss that you've been experiencing that's kind of led to some of these events, such as, the fighting with your daughter and the hoarding and things of that nature. So can you tell me a little bit about how your week was in terms of your thoughts and feelings toward kind of everything we talked about last week?
Well, definitely, I felt like this week I was thinking about him a lot more than I usually do. I mean, I always think about him, but I think because we were talking about everything and, we had a really great conversation, but it definitely brought up a lot of like feelings and thoughts that I've been having, maybe kind of suppressing, but I don't know, I just thoughts, just about memories we have, and life was definitely easier when he was around. He was the main support financially, and he supported me emotionally and everything. So I definitely miss him, and I've noticed that this week especially, which isn't bad, I don't want you to feel like bad because we talked about it, but
that's natural. I mean, the more we, talk about him and, a lot of the things that you've gone through with his loss, it's natural to be thinking about him more and how that's affecting your daily life. So you said the loss really affected you, obviously emotionally, but financially as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Has that been particularly hard, or have you been able to work through that?
I mean, he had life insurance, so when he passed away, I got a significant amount. Okay. But I was so used, as he paid the bills, like I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. He really took care of me, and he was always the one to make sure everything was paid on time. And, I've told you my daughter gets mad at me a lot because I forget to pay a bill or something, but she doesn't realize, I went my whole life without doing that. And so it's weird for me still, even 10 years later, that I forget, I was so used to him taking care of everything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And that's a natural transition, kind of figuring that out on your own. And you mentioned, before in a couple previous sessions that you felt, were thinking that a lot of things were kind of out of your control, and that people were trying to control your life, and that you were trying to take back that control, with buying things and having certain things in your house. So can you tell me a little bit about what you've been thinking about? Because I know last week we talked a lot about control and like what that meant to you, and that control for you ultimately meant happiness. So can you tell me, have you been thinking at all this week about the control over your life, and how that plays a part into how you've been feeling and acting?
I mean, yeah, I guess especially thinking about my husband a lot, and what I was saying, how, he used to take care of me and all this stuff. And I think I've started to realize that I need to, maybe my daughter has some sense in saying, I shouldn't be paying my bills late and whatnot, and I should maybe take control, like as you're stating, over that part of my life for sure. I think I guess, I'm just thinking, yeah, it's probably time that, I've learned to live without him. I have, but there are still things like that. And, some things that I feel like someone else is still going to take care of for me. And I have to start realizing that it's not going to happen. I have to do things on my own. I don't know. That's all I've been really thinking about.
So just changing your thoughts and how things aren't just certain things that you used to not worry about, now you have to worry about. So kind of changing those thoughts on that. So do you feel that you fully grieved the loss of your husband? Do you feel that you've come to complete acceptance with that? Or do you feel like there's still maybe some unresolved feelings there?
I don't think there will ever not be. We're just, you know, there's always going to be unresolved feelings. I spent my whole life with him, you know. Do I think that maybe I haven't moved on like I mean, I don't know if I'll ever be ready to move on in a sense. I don't think I ever want to love another person. I'm sure that there are things that maybe I'm doing that aren't as healthy, or that maybe would be better if I fully accepted that. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I know he's gone, and I know he's not coming back, and I'm okay with that. You know, I've accepted that, but there are definitely days that are harder than others, and you know, with all the stuff that I have in my house of his, like I told you, I don't want to throw that stuff away. You know, and the things I've collected after him, like, I don't want to throw any of it away. It's a comfort to me.
So a connection that you still can have with him. And grief and acceptance look different to every person. You know, not everyone handles, you know, grief the same, or like you said, moves on. Like, to some people that could be getting remarried, but to others that could just be living your daily life without struggling. And that could be struggling emotionally, financially, I mean, in any way. So it doesn't have to feel so like, oh, this is, if you've met this goal, then you've officially accepted it and moved on. So I was just kind of wondering, I was thinking after last session that we have a really good support group for particularly women who have lost their spouses. And I was wondering if that would be anything that you would be interested in. Do you think that would be beneficial to you at all?
I guess I'll be willing to give it a try if you think it would be good for me. I've never really thought of doing that, but I mean, if you think that that would be something that maybe could help me, or I mean, I would be open to giving it a shot.
Okay.
It'd definitely be nice to meet some people. So
okay.
Sure.
I think that might be nice because, you know, it sounds like you really, the only people that you talk about are yourself and your daughter, and then obviously your husband. So I just feel like maybe having, you know, hearing some other people's stories and kind of having connections with them, that might help you in kind of changing some of those thoughts. And like you said, move on, not in the sense of falling in love and getting remarried, but just in kind of living your daily life in the way you want it, and having that control, not necessarily on what you buy or what you put in your house or don't, but just the control over your happiness and just kind of how you live your life and how you want to live your life. And for you, that means getting along with your daughter and, you know, being able to keep your house in a safe, healthy way, which I think was kind of your ultimate goal with your daughter in health services. So I think for today's session, I think that might be enough, because I know we kind of put you through a lot with thinking about your husband. So I think maybe next week I'll kind of give you a chance I'll set you up with one of those groups, and maybe if you could attend one of those this week. It's right here in the same building and everything, so it should you know, be easy to find. And then maybe next week we can come together and talk about that, and then maybe talk a little bit more about some of those schemas that we discussed and the control, you know, making you happy. How does that sound? Does that sound like a good plan?
yeah, that definitely sounds good, and I'll give it a shot for sure. So
Okay.
Thank you for the recommendation.
No problem. I just don't want it to be overwhelming. I just kind of want this to be easy and just small steps to getting to the end goal. So
Okay.
I think that might be a good step for the next week, and then we can come back together and just talk about what you're thinking and feeling and all of that.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.